Good morning. Sometime in the 1980s, Scott Peck wrote a book. This is a little hot. He wrote a book called The Road Less Traveled. And the first words were, "Life is hard." This was a sort of primer about the spiritual life and taking our life as a study, and a study worth making. I would say that part of the challenge in our lives is, however we define the territory of our heart, our mind, our body, all of who we are, is to include more. May our hearts expand with all that we encounter, and may our love grow. So may that be the tone of our gathering today.
build a land where the mantles of praises resound from the spirits, once faint and once weak. Where like oaks of righteousness stand a people. Oh, come build a land, my people we sing. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon. My name is Catherine Smith. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be your worship associate this morning. We are an inclusive community that affirms the mind, heart, and body in our search for truth and meaning. Here you will find both comfort and challenge for your spiritual journey. Whatever your age, income, or color of skin, you are welcome here. Whatever your sexual orientation, gender identity, or life story, you are welcome here. If you are full of joy today, or if your heart is hurting, you are welcome here. And if your beliefs differ from mine, but you are called to love, you are welcome here.
Good morning. I'm Ellen Atkin, and we're here representing the pastoral care team.
My name is Pam Wilson.
I'm Jim Dabrowski.
I'm Susie Hickman, and loud enough for you to hear me without the mic.
Good morning, I'm Greg Byrne. Our pastoral care team offers empathy and support to members and friends through momentary crises and unwinding journeys. We work with Reverend Scott to provide a foundation for our caring community. Please feel free to reach any one of us or contact us through pct@uufc.org. This past week, we experienced a tragedy at Safeway that we hoped would never befall our community. Senseless gun violence has come to our town. We hoped it would never be the case, and yet now we're left with feelings of sadness, anger, and helplessness.
We grieve the loss of life and for their families, friends, and coworkers. We grieve for those who feel both lucky and guilty that they survived. We grieve for all those directly affected by today. We grieve for police officers and safety officials who are trained in how to respond to such a tragedy. We grieve for the hard conversations between parents and children and between teachers and students. We grieve for the mental health professionals so overloaded as they offer their compassion and care.
We grieve for a country and for a planet where this violence is all too common, all too familiar, all too tragic, where we know there is something too familiar about this and yet commit to never accepting it, even if we feel numb. We often light candles to honor the deceased. This morning, we light our chalice as a flame of remembrance. We light this chalice in the spirit of commitment in response to our grief. We all have been impacted by tragedies from gun violence. So we hold everyone in love and compassion as we mark this tragedy by lighting our own inner flames. As we light our chalice, Ellen will share a poem by Molly Fumia. After the flame is lit, we will hold a moment of silence.
Pray for those who dance with life in the face of death, for those whose unkind visitor brought them great limitation, for whom the plague is real, for the child, the woman, the old man, the banker, the teacher, the prisoner, the priest, for the artist, the musician, the player, for the worker, the lover of imagination, the dreamer of dreams, for those who were told not to love and dared to love anyway, for those who hid for a lifetime and those who bravely ventured out, for those who die alone and those who leave surrounded by love, for all the victims of that dark night, that they reach the dawn of victory, that to them we bow inwardly. They are with us now and in memory and in the hope of the new day.
Sunday. So with that, I'm going to say blessings on your day, and let's hear from Amy.
Good morning, I'm Amy Brack, and I'm the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth. Today's theme is let the beauty that we love be what we do. Sometimes we ask our friends in religious exploration what they would like to learn more about. We hope that in learning new things, they might find something that sparks a beautiful flame of inspiration that could eventually become what they do. As we prepare to begin our RE program year, I am filled with joy and gratitude that I get to be here with all of you, and I get to do what I love every week. This moment of my year is one of my favorites, and I am so excited to share it with you. And you can be a part of that this Friday at our Back to Church potluck. It's happening from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. And it's an event for everyone, not just RA families. So we hope to see you there. And you can read more about what to bring in the ACE in terms of food items, and there will be opportunities for games as well. If you want to bring some of your favorites from home, table games or yard games, that would be awesome. And we might even have some dancing, and there will be a craft. Like most things that we do need some help with this. So if you have some availability to help us with setup at 4, that would be awesome. If you're available to come a little later at 5 and help us with food organization, that would be great. Or if you have some space to stay afterwards and help clean up, we would love that too. And I think you can contact Shayla if you would like to be a part of our setup or cleanup crew for our Back to Church potluck this week. And last but not least, as our program year prepares to start up, I could use a few more adults, just a few, to support our teenagers this year. Even if you can just be with us one Sunday, your heart could be filled with beauty and the wonderful connections that you'll help create with our young people. So you can reach out to me at amy@uufco.org if you would be willing to come and support our young people, and we can talk a little bit about what that would be like this year. And so ends our time together today.
Please join me in saying our children's covenant. It's going to appear on the screen right now. In this place, I am kind. In this place, I am loving. In this place, I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place, I am loved.
We will now receive today's offering to support the ministries and programs of this congregation. If today is your first time with us, please feel free to pass the basket. Your presence today is your gift to us. Through these gifts, we strengthen the bonds of our community and nourish the possibilities of the future. And we honor the contributions that each of us makes as we strive together in peace and love and service. We now enter a time of sharing our joys and sorrows in community. You are invited to stand or raise your hand if, as your card is read. And anyone, of course, is free to light a candle in one of the trays along each side of the sanctuary during this time. Noreen Halberstadt says that although I am going to miss our in-gathering next week, it's for a great reason. We'll be going to Natalie Fletcher's wedding on September 10th. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Anonymously shared, please say a prayer for those suffering from addictive drugs and alcohol, encouraging their strengths to say no and return to socially responsible behaviors. In addition, add a prayer for family members to find the fortitude to seek treatment for addicts in their family. Diane Petersek shares, joy that my grandson Ben is thriving and enjoying life. Ann Wood offers, grateful to celebrate my 80th birthday this weekend with good health, loving family, friends, and friends across the years, including new ones, in this warm and welcoming UU fellowship. Happy birthday! Dirk and Tere wish all the best to the people of Chile today as they vote for, hopefully, their new constitution. Our dear Megan Hooker offers that this week I was diagnosed with a cerebral spinal fluid leak in my head. This means that some of the fluid that normally surrounds the brain is leaking out where it shouldn't. It turns out this has been going on for many years. There is a surgical remedy which I'll be exploring after an unrelated surgery coming up at the end of the month. I am grateful to have additional answers to my ongoing health challenges, even if they are hard to take. And lastly, Archela Sloper, so delighted that my dear friend and Sufi camp pal Aziz is visiting here with me this weekend. Such a joy. Welcome, Aziz. In good times or in bad, it is good to be together in community. Please join me now in today's responsive reading. It'll be the text of hymn 77, Seek Not Afar for Beauty. And we will read it aloud. We'll read it at a slower pace just to get a sense of the meter of the poem and allow the words to settle into our hearts and our minds. I will read the plain text, and I invite you to please join me responding with the text in italics. Seek not afar for beauty, lo, it glows. Into the grassers all about your feet. In birds, in sunshine, childish faces sweet. In stars and mountain summits, with snows. Go not abroad for happiness. Behold, it is a flower blooming at your door. Bring love and laughter home, and evermore. Joy shall be yours as changing years unfold. In wonder workings or some bush aflame, you look for truth and can't see it concealed. But in earth's common things it stands revealed. All grass and flowers and stars spell out the name.
As we prepare for a time of shared silence, let our hearts travel to moments that have brought calm or joy or something that surprises us for the beauty of the moment. We've seen a 5-pointed buck in our sacred grove this last week, and sometimes just to watch him is so beautiful. Sometimes just the colors of the sky, sometimes just catching a friend's glance and really knowing that you're connecting. Any of these things, for as many of us as there are in this room, there are countless layers of what we find beautiful. So let our hearts rest there for a moment. I'll ring the bell to usher this time of silence in, and then ring the bell again to end it. And then we'll follow with a song by the house band.
Today's song features Robin Johnson on our lead vocals, and we invite you all to get up and move as you feel moved. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I know you're fed up, life won't let up for us. All they talk about is what's going down, what's been messed up for us. Then I look around, I see blue skies, I see butterflies for us. Listen to the sound and move it in sweet music and dance with me, 'cause there is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world, always beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. Shake your booties, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl, there is beauty in the world. All together now. We need more loving, we need more money. They say change is gonna come like the weather. They say forever. They say, baby, in between. Notice the blue sky, notice the butterflies. Notice me, nothing's no love flowers, and lose it in sweet music and dance with me. 'Cause there is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world, always beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. Shake your booties, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl, there is beauty in the world. All together now. God has given you beauty in the world, so love, yeah, love, there is beauty in the world, beauty in the world. Shake your booty, boys and girls, all the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your world, there is beauty in the world. All together now. Yeah, love, yeah, love. looking at you now. I know this much is true now. There's love, there's hope for us, and there's beauty in the world.
Thank you so much. It was good to move. Today's reading is a poem by the Quranic scholar, theologian, poet, and Sufi mystic Jalaluddin Rumi. This is a version by Coleman Barks. I'm going to take the opportunity to actually read it twice today so that it might find its home in our minds and in our hearts. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground.
The seventh principle of Unitarian Universalism invites us to respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. There's no escaping that we're all part of this one, whatever it is. It includes the earth, and it actually goes farther than what the Webb telescope has captured for us. But we're part of this. And so it matters how we live. In that poem by Rumi, he said, we wake up every day empty and frightened. And perhaps Monday morning here in Bend, there was a little more emptiness and fear. But then how do we get back into life? How do we live in such a way that we don't become the roly-poly, the onion bug, right? That at any threat to its little life will pull its armadillo shelter around itself. So how do we keep our hearts open? These are choices that each of us can make daily. I mean, sometimes moment by moment. Do we become aware of any form of negativity? Are we grumpy about what's happening in current events? Are we worried about the ongoing war in Ukraine? Are we experiencing a tightening of, I don't know, it could be anything. What are the forms of negativity that each of us may face? They're as diverse as all of the forms of beauty that I'm sure we're being welcomed into the atmosphere together during our meditation. So Rumi invites us not to take the book off of the shelf, not to scroll your news. His suggestion is to take down an instrument, and that could be, you could find your own analogy. Is it looking at the flowers in the garden? Is it even doing a gratitude practice? Is it anything else other than what will make our mind heavier or tighter or more closed in? So the idea is, in this interdependent web of all existence, how we live our lives matter. because we're contributing to the whole. And the more that we are aware, we learn to have this taste. I love that word of what is our inner atmosphere taste like in any moment. And we can become skilled at not only acknowledging and identifying what's happening, but then making those choices of how to move the ship out of that stuck place into where the waters are flowing. So this is where each of us can participate in making the world truly a better place. For me, one of the things that I like to do that is beauty for me is, excuse me, I have to sit up here, is, now, I'll get back to the microphone. But anyway, right. So bubbles, right, there was something in the room that happened when the bubbles came out. When on Facebook, there was some conversation about my best friend had given me a bubble machine, and she really knows what goes to my heart. And somebody commented like, oh, how childlike, how fun. It's, yes, but let's look again. Do you notice how beautifully spherical the bubbles are? Let's look again. Let's enjoy them as a thing of beauty. You don't even have to be a mathematician to understand a perfect sphere. Let's look. Aren't they beautiful? All right. I know there's one person in the congregation who loves to make flower arrangements. I know there's another person who writes notes to those who are struggling. I know that there are, again, 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. So the idea of finding beauty is a way of ensuring that our hearts are open, because there's something in the moment of beauty that the heart opens, it lightens up. Now you might want to pin me against the wall and say, Chela, well, you know, there are different ways of seeing beauty, and you can't assume that your way is going to be, it's like, right, that's an academic discussion, and it is true. But I want each of you to know what is beautiful to you. What are the things? It could just be anything. I love shiny things. People know this about me. I have a beaded hummingbird in my kitchen window so that and it's facing west. So when the sun is shining in, it sparkles and it makes me happy. There's the planted flowers in my walkway, and just how the colors were this year. I had some blue and some purple and some white and then the green. And every time I looked at it, every time I noticed it, it gave me that feeling of beauty. So this is part of the trick, both for those of us for any of us who are seeing people, as well as for those without sight. There's a difference between seeing and looking. Think of that. You can see something, and then you're looking at something, and then there's noticing. And what happens in the mind and possibly the heart when we notice? So the same thing, like I say, for those without sight, hearing is the same way. We can hear something, we can listen, and then we can notice. That's right. And so one of my favorite song leaders, this man, Lawrence Cole, he has a song that says, attention is the healer of separation. Attention is the healer of separation. And then there's another part that says, notice who you're with and how they're feeling. What does it take to notice how somebody is feeling? That's a different engagement than just looking at them, more than just seeing them. Notice who you're with and how they're feeling, and notice how you're feeling too. Like these are part of this whole sphere of where we can bring more beauty into the world. There are, in fact, I know we have, waiting at the back door here, I've asked a few people from the congregation, I'll just have them talk now, some folks from the congregation who will share for a minute what is beautiful to them, or how they make beauty, or how they have found beauty. So we'll hear from Shannon Adams, Diane Peterzak, Chris Patrick, and Barbara Cella. So here are some of our neighbors within the congregation talking about their experience of beauty. Come on up. Yeah.
Good morning, I'm Diane. Nice to see all of you. And thank you, Chayla, for inviting me to speak for 1 minute. Exactly 1 minute. Okay. What is beautiful to me? The world, people's kindness, compassion, and love for one another, and being here with all of you. How do I experience beauty? By reaching out in service to others. That's the most beautiful thing in my life. What I find is beautiful is others reaching out to me in the same way. And some examples of that are Nancy Tyler, Greg Byrne, and Father Scott, who all reached out to me when I first learned that my grandson was diagnosed with cancer. And so that just meant the world to me and helped me get through reaching peace with that. And Ben is doing very well, and I'm very thankful for that. What I find beautiful, as I mentioned, is service to others, and particularly people who have memory problems. I volunteer with a number of organizations, Partners in Care, yikes, Council on Aging. And when I'm working with someone who has memory issues, I try very hard to tune into what was important to them earlier in their lives, because many people can retain memory of times past, but not necessarily present times. And so they give back to me when they laugh or smile, when they squeeze my hand, just anytime they find joy in the moment. And that's everything for me. Thank you, Taylor.
Good morning. John O'Donohue says, the human soul is hungry for beauty. When we experience the beautiful, there is a sense of homecoming. Some of our most wonderful memories are beautiful places where we felt immediately at home. We feel most alive in the presence of the beautiful, for it meets the needs of our soul. Even having heard that, we don't all see beauty in the same way. I was fortunate enough and still capable enough to be able to hike South Sisters last week. Absolutely stunning. I had no idea it had a caldera at the top and this beautiful moraine, milky blue lake. When I got down, I read one of the reviews on All Trails, and this other fellow said, well, it was a one and done hike. I didn't really like it that much. I mean, it's kind of ordinary in his estimation. And I thought, that inner human landscape where truly beauty is in the eye of the beholder is really a stunning place to access for each one of us. And let me encourage you to find your beautiful place as well.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shannon Adams. One of my favorite top 10 experiences of beauty isn't visual or audible, touched or smelled. It is in the beauty I have found in the emergence from suffering, that transitioning from a horrible illness to the awakening of healing. These moments of relief, renewal, recovery, all of us have had. It might have been during a time of fear, and you found yourself in a place of safety. Perhaps during a time of unbearable grief and loss, the process brought you to a moment of gladness with the memory. During these moments, always my soul is filled with beauty.
Hi, I'm Barbara Cella, celebrating a brand new hip. Painting makes my heart sing. The beauty of the magnificent landscape we find here in Central Oregon. Oh, I love painting this landscape. The experience includes the smells, the feel of the breeze, the sun, the cold, the moist forest floor, or the dry grass. It is a total immersion meditation. And I have to move fast because the sun is moving, the shadows are coming in, the wind can blow out the beautiful reflection. I don't have time to debate. I just have to go. Painting makes my heart sing.
Throughout history, there have been different ways that communities have set their orientation. I have a couple examples for you on the slides. So first, that we've seen in the writings of the Buddha, and then later in the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. So consider, if this is your organizing principle, if this is your orientation, if this is your daily reminder, do no harm. Does that change possibly the word choice that you would use? Does it have anything to do with attitudes? Let alone actions. But this is a way that the inner life can be focused. And the next one, live welcoming to all. So Meister Eckhart was a Christian mystic in the, looks like, late 13th century. And in his desire to get into the heart of the Christian teachings, he came up with this notion, live welcoming to all. We've sort of stated that for our congregation here too. All are welcome. And what does this kind of welcome translate into? How do we make this a reality? And there's another, walk in beauty. The Navajo people, who also sometimes refer to themselves as Diné, have been in the North American Southwest for untold centuries, and they have a community practice that when something gets disjointed or really out of alignment, that they have a beauty way ceremony. And there is some thoughts about it. Their word for beauty is hosho, and it represents the concept. That's like an American or a Western thing. It's a concept. It's actually a how to live in a holistic environment, in a fully whole relationship with beauty, balance, harmony, and well-being. This beauty way is to be aware and attuned to the essence of beauty, not to particular forms or superficial aesthetics. To walk in beauty means to walk in harmony with all things. How we walk, feeling physically and emotionally, and in exploring our own inner wilderness. So this is a Western way of trying to understand this cultural value held by the Navajo people. There's another example where Lawrence Cole, the fellow that I mentioned, who's a songwriter, has another song that he sings, "Heaven is not a place that you go to. Oh no, heaven is just a place that you notice. Oh yes." And this is what he says about this particular Mayan people in the highlands of Guatemala. I asked Carolyn how to say it, and I think I've forgotten already. Tzutzujil, Carolyn. Tzutzuhil, thank you. She's our Mayan scholar. But anyway, so in the highlands of Guatemala, this people hold that heaven is not a place that you go to, heaven is just a place that you notice, that the invisible world of life-giving spirit interpenetrates this one, and that the making of beauty, whether in our speech, food, clothing, all tools and implements, and of course, in our music, is the way to give back to the heavenly world of spirit. How we feed what feeds us is the way, how we feed what feeds us, and thereby begin to sense its presence all around us. This feels almost like a promise that as we cultivate an awareness, a sensitivity, our radar is calibrated to notice beauty all around us. It will change the world where we live. They talk about this life-giving spirit interpenetrating this one. And remember that seventh principle of Unitarian Universalism, that we have respect for the interdependent, interpenetrated world of all existence of which we are a part. Like I said earlier, we are on the cusp of a new church year. And I think this is really an exciting time because folks are starting to see, well, what can I do for the coming year? We have classes that will be offered. We have events. We have, frankly, committees and teams that are the working parts of our congregation. So the community fair on September 25th is in part a way that we can live into, and the next slide, please. This is a word cloud that was created from the responses of those of you who participated in the listening sessions during the winter. And what a word cloud does is it counts numerically the incidences of a particular word, and then those words with a higher number are featured larger in the word cloud. So what is the number one thing that you all said that you wanted here? Connection. And so how does this happen? This happens by all of us finding the ways of connecting with what has been offered, and then possibly considering what you might offer also to the congregation. So one of the things that I find really dear when we've been having the Fill Your Cup discussion group all COVID long, and we've been on Zoom, and starting the second week in September, we'll have alternating weeks in person or on Zoom. And at the end of our calls, sometimes we say, I love you to one another. And this is just such a beautiful thing. One time also, I was overhearing a conversation in the gathering hall, and somebody said as they were parting, I love you. And that just makes my heart sing, to borrow Barbara's phrase. It just makes me feel good that there are quality connections happening here because hearts are open, people are reaching out, they are allowing themselves to be reached out to. So we have a desire for connection. What might that look like? So we have, this was funny. In my view of how UUFCO has grown, particularly since we've been in this building and on this land, initially we had the kayaking group and the camping group and the hiking group and circle suppers and a book club and quilting and stitchery. And actually there was a visitor once who said, is this a park and rec church? So that was kind of funny. And then not long after Reverend Scott arrived, social justice exploded like poppies in a field. And so now we have, 8 or 9, it might be back up to 10, different initiatives where people in the congregation, where you said, this is really important to me, and I've got a couple people that we want to make this happen. And so there's a method for getting these ideas kind of sorted out. And if you have an idea that you would like to bring forward, a particular study group, or we call them affinity groups. Maybe you are a lifelong beater or a birder or a biker. There can be any group that if you have a passion for, we want to make room for it. So Reverend Scott and I were talking about if you have an idea, bring it to me, see if you can find 1 or 2 others, and then we're thinking about having the signups for these new groups on the bulletin board. So that's a possibility. But the idea is how can we together bring more beauty in the world? That's really the challenge. Let the beauty we love be what we do. And as I hinted, one of the best ways that we can do that is expressing love. It's showering the people we love with love. So I invite the house band back up to their stations, and we're going to enjoy, that is to say, I will enjoy, I hope you enjoy. It's a video of James Taylor, who's one of my favorites, singing this song, Shower the People You Love with Love. Oh yeah, what I forgot to say, with the potluck on Friday, so in the song, Shake Your Booty, Boys and Girls, even the potluck on Friday, we're gonna have some dancing, because somebody came up to me after the service last week and said, I've been a DJ and these different things. And I said, hey, what about dancing at the potluck? And she said, sure. And so anyway, so it's just like this kind of volunteering that makes me so happy. So in this, I just want to point out that in this particular version of Shower the People You Love with Love, James Taylor's backup singer Arnold McCuller, Cuts Loose. And we're going to enjoy that, and then we'll be singing as well. So here we go with James Taylor live at the Beacon Theater. People you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Shower the people you love with love. We can have that slide. Here we go. Shower the people you love with love. Show them, why don't you rise, embody your spirit. Shower the people shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if we only will. How about we have this for our church? Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna turn out fine if we only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if we only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Showers gonna turn out fine if we only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if we only
Please remain standing and join me in the unison reading of our covenant as we extinguish the chalice. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
So as we go from here today, let the beauty we love be what we do. The service is ended. May our service begin.